Welcome to our whiteboard drawing, Enterprise 20 Dial Plan Build, Patterns for Delayed 7-Digit Dialing, Part 2. We'll start with a basic class of service configuration. In this drawing, we'll add a site-specific, unrestricted calling search space. This calling search space could be used on the line or on the device. In future drawings, we'll add more restrictive classes of service. Heads up! We're flipping these two to make the drawing more clear. This is a translation pattern that we'll talk about in a future drawing. The internal patterns will all be in the internal partition, as discussed in the Site Codes and Patterns drawing. The off-net to on-net translation patterns will also be in the internal partition. We have an enterprise internal calling search space containing only the internal partition. We put no 911 in the name because this calling search space can't call 911. We have site-specific internal partitions for the site-abbreviated dialing translation patterns. The XXX internal partition will be the partition for site XXX. We'll have an NANP partition for the external patterns in the North American numbering plan. All of our patterns for external dialing are in the NANP partition. Each site will have a site-specific unrestricted calling search space, XXX unrestricted calling search space, containing the internal partition, the site-specific internal partition, XXX internal partition in the drawing, and the NANP partition. In the Site Codes and Patterns drawing, we added internal calling search spaces. We added enterprise-wide and site-specific partitions and internal calling search spaces. Now we add unrestricted calling search spaces. Phones at the Toronto site will be configured with the Toronto 55 unrestricted CSS containing the Toronto 55 internal partition, the internal partition, and the NANP partition. Phones at the Hamilton site will be configured with the Hamilton 601 unrestricted CSS, containing the Hamilton 601 internal partition, the internal partition, and the NANP partition. Phones at the Winnipeg site will be configured with the Winnipeg 602 unrestricted CSS, containing the Winnipeg 602 internal partition, the internal partition, and the NANP partition. Here's what we deployed for Enterprise 20. Here's what the Halifax 696 unrestricted calling search space looks like. Think about your requirements. The only reason we have site-specific unrestricted calling search spaces is because we have site-abbreviated dialing. If you don't need site-abbreviated dialing, then you don't need site-specific unrestricted calling search spaces. A single unrestricted calling search space would do for the whole enterprise. Let's look at the dial plan hierarchy. Local route groups are recommended, and Enterprise 20 uses them. We did not discuss local route groups in our background drawings. We'll show you how they work right now. When using local route groups, we need only a single instance of these route patterns for the entire enterprise. All of these patterns will point to the NANP PSTN route list. The NANP PSTN route list points to the standard local route group. When a route list includes the standard local route group, it really means use the route group in the calling party's device pool. Each site has a route group containing the local PSTN gateway. The Toronto site has the Toronto 55 PSTN route group containing the Toronto 55 PSTN gateway. The Hamilton site has the Hamilton 601 PSTN route group containing the Hamilton 601 PSTN gateway. And the Winnipeg site has the Winnipeg 602 PSTN route group containing the Winnipeg 602 PSTN gateway. Here's what we deployed for Enterprise 20. The local route group for each site will go in the device pools for that site. Enterprise 20 has separate device pools for phones, gateways, and media resources. Each site has its own device pools. We've organized phone device pools based on phone type. For example, we will have phone device pools for Toronto, Hamilton, and Winnipeg. If we have more than 100 phones in a device pool, we'll consider breaking that one up into more, smaller device pools. Device pools contain site-specific information. Toronto site device pools contain site-specific configuration for locations, regions, and SRST, and more not shown, like the date-time group. The Toronto site PSTN route group is included in all Toronto site device pools. The Hamilton site PSTN route group is included in all Hamilton site device pools. And the Winnipeg site PSTN route group is included in all Winnipeg site device pools. Using the local route group in the NANP PSTN route list means use the route group in the device pool. Phones in Toronto will use the Toronto 55 PSTN route group containing the Toronto 55 PSTN gateway. Phones in Hamilton will use the Hamilton 601 PSTN route group containing the Hamilton 601 PSTN gateway. And phones in Winnipeg will use the Winnipeg 602 PSTN route group containing the Winnipeg 602 PSTN gateway. Enterprise 20 starts with the CIPC phones device pools. Device pools for other kinds of phones can be quickly added by copying these ones. The phone device pool settings table contains additional configuration information. When we configure external dialing, we'll change the device mobility calling search space to unrestricted. Devices, phones in particular, are configured with site-specific calling search spaces and site-specific device pools. Toronto CIPC phones are configured with the Toronto 55 CIPC phones device pool and the Toronto 55 unrestricted calling search space. Hamilton CIPC phones are configured with the Hamilton 601 CIPC phones device pool and Hamilton 601 unrestricted calling search space. And the Winnipeg CIPC phones are configured with the Winnipeg 602 CIPC phones device pool and Winnipeg 602 unrestricted calling search space. We'll leave the unrestricted calling search space on the device for our blocking on lines configuration option, XXX unrestricted calling search space for all hard or fixed phones, and XXX unrestricted no 911 calling search space for all soft phones or clients. We'll talk about this one in a later drawing. Here's a summary drawing. We've built the patterns we need, put them in partitions, and built our internal and unrestricted calling search spaces. We pointed the external patterns to the NANP PSTN route list using the standard local route group. We put phones at each site into site-specific device pools with the site-specific route group. Phones have a site-specific unrestricted calling search space. Coming up next, Enterprise 20 dial plan build, outgoing digit manipulation. Thanks for watching.